When the soil temperature hits roughly 64 degrees Fahrenheit in May, you tunnel upwards, and a trillion more like you emerge from the ground. It's been 17 years. That's nearly 2 decades of absolutely no sunlight, total darkness, where your only interaction with the world was through a tiny straw you used to drink tree sap, while you were basically a subterranean hermit, counting the years by the literal pulse of the trees above you. Until you finally get the signal and the ground warms up and your internal clock screams that it's time, and you burrow toward the surface for your big debut, ready to finally meet someone and make up for all that lost time. But then, your entire back end just falls off. It doesn't just get a little sore. It doesn't just itch. Your abdomen, including your genitals and your abdominal plates, literally rips away from your body. And in its place, you've got this white, chalky mass that looks exactly like a gumdrop someone accidentally dropped into a bucket of plaster. You aren't dead, though. You aren't even slowing down. In fact, you're more energetic than you've ever been. And you've become what scientists like Matt Casson call a salt shaker of death, flying through the trees and raining infectious fungal spores on every single person you know, acting as a high-speed infection sprinkler in nature's most messed-up dark comedy. You're a buttless zombie that's too high to realize it's actually falling apart. You're currently part of a trillion-strong army emerging across the United States. If you're the 17-year variety, you've been waiting since before the first iPhone even existed. You crawl out of the dirt, shed your crunchy nymph skin, and wait for your wings to harden. But you weren't alone in that dirt. Lying in wait for you was a patient nemesis called Massospora Cicadina. This fungus is the ultimate long gamer, sitting in the soil for nearly 20 years, waiting for a very specific chemical hello from your body. Researchers like Dr. Matt Casson believe these fungal spores are actually cueing into your hormones. They hear your body saying it's time to go, and the fungus wakes up at the exact same moment. As you burrow to the surface, you brush against these spores and they stick to your exoskeleton like biological Velcro. While you're busy molting, the fungus is already launching a hostile takeover of your internal organs. By the second week, the honeymoon phase is officially over because the fungus has finished colonizing your abdomen. It's not interested in your brain or your heart because it needs you mobile. It wants you to be its personal Uber. It targets the parts of you that are most useful for spreading a plague, your backside. The pressure from the growing fungal garden inside you eventually becomes too much, and the entire rear of your body just snaps off. Usually, losing half your body weight and your entire digestive system would be a deal breaker for staying alive, but this is where the fungus reveals its most unhinged secret. Researchers at West Virginia University took a look at those white chalky gumdrops and found something that sounds like it came straight out of a narcotics lab. They found cathinone and psilocybin. Cathinone is a powerful amphetamine, basically biological street speed. Psilocybin is the active ingredient in magic mushrooms. You are literally flying around on a cocktail of stimulants and psychedelics, which explains that weird prolonged wakefulness that kept scientists up at night. You have the chaotic energy of an absolute gremlin. Even though you're missing a third of your body, the cathinone gives you the energy to keep mating and flying long after a healthy cicada would have collapsed from exhaustion. Some scientists think the psilocybin might even be there to make you taste like a bad trip to any bird that tries to eat you. By now, you are a walking catfish operation. Your romantic drive has been turned up to a solid 15 out of 10. Normal cicada dating is a structured dance where males sing their hearts out, and if a female is interested, she flickers her wings in a very specific way. It's a rhythmic pas de deux. But you're an infected male, and the fungus has a diabolical plan to maximize its reach. It exerts a form of mind control over you, making you exhibit hypersexualization. You keep singing to attract females, but you've also started mimicking that female wing flick. You're essentially catfishing every other male in the forest. When a healthy male hears your song and sees your wing flick, he thinks he's found the love of his life, flies over, and instead of a partner, he gets a face full of infectious spores. The fungus has effectively turned you into a terminal STD. This is what Brian Levitt calls active host transmission. The fungus isn't waiting for you to die to spread. It's using your overactive libido to turn you into a spreading machine. There have even been documented cases of genital theft because cicada parts are interlocking. When an infected cicada and a healthy one try to pull apart after a failed mating attempt, rip. The healthy one walks away with someone else's genitals, literally stuck to them, and the infected cicada is busted even wider open, spewing spores everywhere. You've reached your final form as a salt shaker of death. Every time you flap your wings to move to a new tree, those asexual spores, called conidia, rain down from your hollowed-out abdomen like infectious dust. You are seasoning the entire forest with a biological weapon. You're a marvel of biology, really. Your head and your thorax are still functional. Your wings work, you're walking around singing and catfishing your peers while your body is literally wearing away, like an eraser on a pencil. You don't feel the pain because those chemicals are still pumping through your system, keeping you in a state of hyperactive bliss while you do the fungus's bidding. Trillions of your peers are filling the air with a noise loud enough to drown out a jet engine as the more sinister wave of the infection begins. The original zombies are starting to wear down to almost nothing. But the catfishing you did earlier, it's finally paying off for the fungus. The healthy cicadas you infected are now becoming stage 2 hosts. These new victims are different. Their fungal plugs aren't producing the conidia meant for immediate spread. Instead, they're developing thick-walled resting spores. These are the heavy armor version of the fungus. They aren't meant for the cicadas in the trees right now. They're a gift for the future. As these stage 2 hosts start to feel the effects, they don't have the same manic energy you did. They're the cleanup crew, ensuring the survival of the fungal species. Cicadageddon is coming to a close. The noise in the trees is finally fading. Most of the healthy cicadas have mated, laid their eggs in the branches, and died. But for you, the end is a bit more dramatic. You finally run out of amphetamine-fueled energy, you fall from your leaf, and hit the dirt with a soft thud. In this dark comedy, your death is actually the most important part of the delivery system. As your body decays, you release those stage 2 resting spores into the soil. You have just inoculated the earth. Those spores will now lie dormant in the dirt, perfectly preserved and totally invisible, waiting exactly 13 or 17 years for the next generation of nymphs to crawl past them and restart the entire cycle. You've guaranteed that in the year 2041, another group of teenagers will emerge from the ground only to have their backsides fall off, just like yours did. Fungi are the best chemists on the planet. By studying how this fungus synthesizes things like cathinone in such a unique way, we might find new ways to create medicines for human illnesses. These buttless zombies are essentially 17-year biological laboratories that could hold the secret to the next big pharmaceutical breakthrough. This is the next frontier of bioprospecting. If you're worried about yourself or your dog, don't be. Massospora is a specialist. It only wants periodical cicadas. You could eat a dozen of them, and you wouldn't trip or start flicking your arms like wings. The dose of chemicals is way too low to affect a vertebrate. It's a specialized, co-evolved nightmare meant only for the bugs. Nature is officially stranger than any science fiction we could dream up. Trillions of insects emerged this year to have the summer of their lives. But for the flying dead, the party was literally a once-in-a-lifetime trip they couldn't escape.